as you can see on your screen, at any moment this tree is going to fall down because of the impact of the cyclonic winds. It has not been able to withstand the impact of the high winds, and that is how that is the situation here in Dwarka, where every minute, every passing minute, we are seeing that there's growing destruction, and the sea levels are rising, the wind speed has been increasing, so has the rainfall been. So this is the situation here. Thankfully,
तो ये विकास आप तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं, देखिए किस तरीके से वो दरवाजा बिल्कुल अलग हो चुका है। ये ग्राउंड जीरो से आप तस्वीर देख लीजिए कि कैसे ये जो हवा की रफ्तार है इसने ये दरवाजे को तोड़ दिया है। कच्चे मकानों पर तो खतरा है, लेकिन जिस तरीके से इस वक्त माहौल है, जो पक्के मकान हैं उनको भी सबसे ज़्यादा खतरा है। घरों के शीशे पूरी तरीके से टूट चुके हैं, यहाँ पर ये गमले टूटे हुए नजर आ रहे हैं, और जितने भी स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं सब पर खतरा है। ऐसे में मुसीबत की ये घड़ी है, संकट का समय है, संकट बहुत बड़ा है, संकट सब कुछ लीन लेने पर उतारू है। और आप देखिए कि किस तरह की तस्वीर है इस वक्त देवभूमि द्वारका से, और जैसे जैसे समय नजदीक आ रहा है वैसे वैसे आप देखिए कि माहौल क्या हो रहा है। जो ये खंबे हैं किस तरीके से यहाँ पर हिल रहे हैं, क्योंकि जब भी कोई चक्रवात आता है, चाहे वो हम बिजली के खंभों की बात करें, टेलीफोन के खंभों की बात करें, कम्युनिकेशन बिल्कुल टूट जाता है, लैप्स हो जाता है। और ऐसी तस्वीर इस वक्त हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं, वाकई बहुत मुश्किल है। ये मैं अपने सहयोगी जनक का इस वक्त
Saurashtra में Kutch, we are all seeing that the impact of this cyclone will be felt by everyone in these regions. Lakhs of people are slated to get affected. Most importantly, what is important to see is the kind of damage that is expected to property, because as we have been trying to talk to the government officials as well, they say that the whole approach of the administration has been geared towards zero casualty, and that is why they're trying to make sure that there is no loss of life really during the cyclonic conditions. But when it comes to property, clearly it will be difficult right now to assess the kind of damage that they will face, but extremely difficult situations continuously here in Dwarka. Dramatic visuals of rise in the sea levels, of growing winds, and of exasperated faces around. You can see that the rainfall has abated a bit as of now, but continuously the wind speeds are high in this whole area. As of now, it seems like the authorities are in control of the situation. The electricity supply at several places is likely to get affected due to the cyclonic storm and the cyclonic winds. It is likely that road transport may be affected, though let me tell you that apart from trains, buses have also been shut down by the administration to make sure that people do not travel to different locations in such winds. All major tourist attractions, particularly Dwarkadish temple, which is a major attraction for the devotees, Somnath temple, have all been shut till 16, that is till tomorrow, to make sure that devotees don't throng these places and that the footfall at these places is reduced. Continuous monitoring of the situation is going on by teams of Navy, by NDRF, by the Army as well, which has been kept on the standby at several locations, including in Kutch. Right now, field recce and field surveys are continuously going on by the authorities to keep tabs on what is happening about the damage that is being caused by Cyclone Biparjoy. So as we are standing here in Dwarka, where the wind speeds have picked up tremendously and where sea levels have also started rising quite dramatically, we are seeing that it has been increasingly difficult to you can see how frightening the sea has become really. You know, there are tall waves, the kind of swell this in the sea is quite unprecedented. If you could see those visuals.
और ये मांडवी इसलिए इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि मांडवी से आगे जाखौ और उससे आगे
zero to show you what kind of debilitating conditions there are during such a time when the cyclone's onslaught continues and when in the next few minutes the cyclone's landfall is expected. Let me show you the cloud formation as well. Clouds have started traveling really fast from here. It's not just an overcast sky.
जनक मौजूद है, मेरे सहयोगी जावेद मौजूद है और इसके बाद जो है अगर हम बात करें पोरबंदर की, हम बात करें मोरबी की बात करें, हम बात करें जूनागढ़ की, हम बात करें राजकोट की, यहाँ पर भी खतरा बराबर बना हुआ है। एक बार फिर से विकास आप तस्वीरें दिखा दीजिए। कैसे अभी थोड़ी सी हवा की रफ्तार कम हुई है, ये राहत की बात है, लेकिन पल में एकदम से मौसम बदल रहा है। अचानक से भारी बारिश शुरू हो जा रही है, अचानक से बारिश रुक जा रही है, अचानक से हवा की रफ्तार तेज हो जा रही है, अचानक से खुद को संभालना बेहद मुश्किल हो जा रहा है। और एक कहते हैं कि अचानक से हवा का झोंका आता है और सब कुछ तबाह करके चला जाता है, ऐसा ही हुआ। हवा की रफ्तार इतनी ज्यादा थी कि यहाँ पर पेड़ गिर गए, जो ये दरवाजे थे, जो ये स्ट्रक्चर था, ये पूरी तरीके से उखड़ गया, ये गमले गिर गए, ऊपर जो लाइट्स लगी हुई है ये गिर गए, जो ये सामने होटल है उसके रिसेप्शन में झूमर गिर गया और सब कुछ तबाह करके उसके बाद रफ्तार अब थोड़ी कम हुई है। लेकिन अभी भी संकट गया नहीं है, संकट अभी बना हुआ है। हालांकि ये सब प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं क्योंकि देवभूमि है, ये भगवान कृष्ण की ये नगरी है कि संकट की घड़ी में वो सबको बचा ले। और हमने देखा कि द्वारकाधीश मंदिर में 2 ध्वज भी फहराए गए थे ताकि तूफान इस धर्म नगरी का कुछ भी नहीं बिगाड़ पाए, ऐसी उम्मीद की जा रही थी। लेकिन बहुत मुश्किल है। मेरे सहयोगी जावेद और जनक लगातार हमारे साथ बने हुए हैं। जनक, क्योंकि अभी हम देख रहे हैं कि अभी तक तो खतरा ये था कि सिर्फ कच्चे मकानों पर ऐसा होगा, लेकिन पक्के मकानों को भी काफी ज्यादा नुकसान पहुंच रहा है। तो अब कितना समय और लगेगा तूफान को शांत होने? जनक, आप तक आवाज पहुंच रही है?
मैं आपके सवाल को नहीं सुन पा रहा हूं यहाँ पर, चूंकि बहुत तेज हवाएं चल रही है। लेकिन आप समझ लीजिए कि ये अभी शुरुआत भर है। अभी 2 से 3 घंटे बाद इस इलाके से, खासतौर पर जखौ जहाँ पर मैं हूँ और नलिया में अनुपमा, हम आपकी ये मांडवी में अनुपमा और जावेद हैं, वहाँ ये दोनों जखौ और मांडवी के बीच से ये गुजरेगा और उस वक्त क्या स्थिति होगी ये अंदाज़ा लगा लीजिए आप। और ये शुरुआत भर है अभी, और ये लगभग 100 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की रफ्तार से हवाएं अभी फिलहाल चल रही है। वो 125 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की रफ्तार से हवाएं चलेगी और वो 2 से ढाई घंटा वक्त या 3 घंटे का वक्त अभी बाकी है। चूँकि किसी भी वक्त बताया जा रहा है, कोई एग्जैक्ट समय नहीं दिया गया है मौसम विभाग से, लेकिन किसी भी वक्त, अब से लेकर किसी भी वक्त शाम के रात के 9 बजे तक में किसी भी वक्त इस इलाके में ये साइक्लोन हिट कर सकता है और इसी और इसका खतरा बहुत
लगातार तेज हवाएं चल रही हैं, तूफानी हवाएं चल रही हैं। ऐसी हवाएं जो आपको डरा दे, डरावनी हवाएं मैं आपको तस्वीर दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा। मेरे कैमरा पर्सन पंकज गोसाई जो कि बहुत संवेदनशील और बहादुरी से हमें तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं, दर्शकों तक ये तस्वीरें पहुंचा रहे हैं। देखिए ज़रा आप स्थिति देख लीजिए, इस सड़क को आप देखिए और यहाँ पर जितने भी पेड़ हैं वो झुक जा रहे हैं। मांडवी किस लिए महत्वपूर्ण है ये हम बार बार बता रहे हैं क्योंकि ये एक शहरी इलाका है। ये शहरी इलाका, जैसा कि जनक बता रहे थे कि मांडवी से जाखू तक इसका एक दायरा रहेगा और मांडवी में एक अच्छी खासी आबादी है। तो ऐसे में जो सबसे बड़ा जो मकसद है सरकारों का वो ये है कि कोई भी जानी नुकसान ना हो, और उसकी आशंका मांडवी में इसलिए बनी हुई है क्योंकि बड़ी आबादी है। कई तटीय इलाके ऐसे हैं, कई गांव ऐसे हैं जिनको खाली कराया गया है एहतियातन, वहाँ टेम्परेरी स्ट्रक्चर है। तो वो एक पहलू है इस पूरे तूफान का। और अभी आप तस्वीरों में अगर देखेंगे तो हवाएं बहुत तेज चल रही है। मांडवी की अगर बात करें तो पोर्ट को पूरी तरह से बंद कर दिया गया है। अब से थोड़ी देर पहले हम पोर्ट से रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे थे। जो पोर्ट के इंचार्ज थे, जो मरीन इंजीनियर्स थे, उन्होंने हमें बताया कि अब से 1 घंटे बाद वहां रुकना मुश्किल है। तमाम मीडिया कर्मी वहां मौजूद थे, उनको वहां से हटा दिया गया सुरक्षा कारणों से। अब हम आपको समुद्र की तस्वीरें नहीं दिखा रहे हैं, समुद्र और उसके आसपास की स्थिति आप समझिए कि क्या होगी। वहाँ खड़े हो पाना मुश्किल होगा, लेकिन स्थिति शहरों के अंदर की हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। और ये अभी कुछ एक वाहन यहाँ पर सड़कों पर भी नज़र आ रहे हैं और कुछ लोग खड़े हैं, बाइक से जा रहे हैं। ये देखिए, ये यहाँ पर तस्वीर देख लीजिए, दोनों तरफ आप देखेंगे मेरे पेड़ों को देखकर समझा जा सकता है कि स्थिति क्या बनने वाली है। जनक जिस तरह से बता रहे थे कि 100 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा की रफ्तार से हवाएं चल रही हैं और जो अनुमान है Biparjoy.
And our colleagues continue to bring you ground reports, helping us understand how the situation has drastically changed over the last 20 to 30 minutes and is expected to only get worse once the landfall does happen anytime between 6 to 8 is what we are understanding. Vinaya continues to be with us. Vidya, fantastic reporting. You know, it's not easy for you, to be reporting in such conditions. Hats off to your video journalist as well. But could you help us understand the kind of, in numbers, the number of people who were in and around these areas who've been moved to safer areas and the kind of impact of the cyclone that you're already seeing around you?
Well, yes, the impact of the cyclone has only been increasing as we have been trying to talk to you for the last half an hour, showing you the dramatic visuals here. In fact, my video journalist Ajay Sape, who is showing you all these visuals, we are right behind the seashore, and as you can see, the cyclonic conditions have led to a massive swell in the sea. We are seeing that waves are hitting on the shore at extremely high speeds. The kind of scary visuals of the sea that you can see in front of you right now, the very violent waves that are rushing towards the shore. It's difficult to see this kind of a scary nature of sea. The clouds have started forming around us. The skies are overcast, and the grey clouds, as you can possibly see on your screens, have also started moving very fast and in one particular direction only. As the wind speeds increase and as the cloud formation increases, this clearly shows the kind of scary effect that Cyclone Biparjoy has when it is about to make a landfall any time now. This is Devbhoomi Dwarka, where we have been reporting for the last 2 days, and where climatic conditions have worsened dramatically in the last half an hour or so. In fact, if I can request my video journalist to show, these pillars were standing here till yesterday, and as you can see, they have been completely brought down now due to the impact of the wind. So one can imagine the speed of the wind within the next few minutes or so, when the cyclone is expected to make a landfall. We will see that the wind speed will increase to up to 125 to 135 kilometers per hour. Right now it has already crossed around 70 to 80 kilometers per hour. So things are becoming increasingly difficult here, and the visibility is also dropping. The sea level is rising. We have been trying to get to you the details of all the rescue and relief operations as well. Just an hour ago or something, we experienced another rescue operation, evacuation operation, I beg your pardon, that was undertaken by the NDRF, where around 60 to 70 persons were moved back to safety when they were residing in their shanties. One shudders to think what would have happened to them in this wind speed and in this lashing rainfall if they would have continued to stay in those shanties, which would have clearly not been able to bear the brunt of this cyclone, which is hitting the coast of Gujarat any time from now, and which is leading to crazy wind speeds and to incessant rains. Till now, at least 75,000 people from different coastal areas of Gujarat from two zones. Firstly, those living in low-lying areas, and secondly, those living in kacha houses have been moved to safe locations. Till yesterday, the administration was focusing on the range of 0 to 5 kilometers, where people residing in that range would have been taken to the safe locations of rescue centers. But yesterday the administration decided that even the second zone of 5 to 10 kilometers, they would try and rescue and move people. Accordingly, even from that zone, thousands of people have been moved to safety. Right now, we are being told at least 75,000 people from Gujarat's coastal areas are in the rescue centers, back in safety. Back to you. Several agencies, made the NDRF, SDRF, the state disaster, have all been entrusted with different parts of the highways in order to make sure that there is no repetition of effort and that there is coordination. At such times, the highway should stay clear. As of now, the bus services that come to these areas have been completely shut down. Public transport in terms of buses and railways has been affected. Western Railway has already announced closure of several railways, cancellation of several railways passing from this area and coming here. So several measures are being taken at present in order to make sure that the damage due to the cyclone is minimized. As Gujarat's Home Minister told us yesterday, that the instruction from the centre is that there should be zero casualty and all the efforts should be geared towards that. That is why, even before the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy, which is expected to happen today evening between Kutch and Karachi, we are seeing that a lot of measures have been put in place. In fact, home guards have also been appointed at several locations in order to spread awareness among people. The standing instruction to people is they should stay indoors. In case of those who are living in kacha houses, they should immediately move to shelter homes which have been constructed by the government specifically in order to withstand the impact of natural calamities like the cyclones. Most importantly, the people should not stand near trees, near electricity poles or near any single structures which are weak and which may come down. So these are the kind of instructions that have been issued. People have been asked to stay ready for an electricity outage if need be as well. Hospitals have been asked to be on standby, specifically protocols which have been put in place in order to make sure that hospitals keep functioning even when there is electricity outage and there is enough blood supply to several hospitals. These are the several measures that have been put in place, not just in Dwarka, Devbhoomi Dwarka, where I'm standing right now, but in several locations, including Kutch, Mandvi, areas around Porbandar, also several places in Jamnagar which are low-lying and which received rainfall yesterday and day before have been kept on standby. So massive deployment that has taken place in several locations here. The NDRF has said that it is constantly watching over the situation and staying in touch with the district administration, which is coordinating efforts for making sure that there are no untoward incidents even as Cyclone Biparjoy makes its headway, even as it comes closer to the coast of Kutch, and as the climatic condition worsens here, not just in Dwarka but around Porbandar, Mandvi and Kutch area as well. So Saurashtra and Kutch have been put on red alert since yesterday. Other places are on orange alert, and rainfall is expected today. The wind speed is expected to continue to surge over the next few hours. In Devbhoomi Dwarka itself, where I'm standing, the speed of wind has increased as compared to yesterday, though right now for a few moments we can see that there is a dip, but it is expected that the climatic situation will only worsen in the coming few hours before Cyclone Biparjoy makes a landfall by today evening at around 7 p.m. There was some rainfall that was happening till a while ago, but right now there is respite.
Well, CNN News 18's Vinay Deshpande is joining me live from Dwarka in Gujarat, and she is going to bring you all the latest developments from Ground Zero. Vinay, I hope you are safe there. Could you give us all the details from Ground Zero? Also, could you tell us about the key areas that are going to be affected apart from Gujarat?
Well, we can see that, as the cyclone is progressing towards the coast of Kutch, we are seeing that, more and more winds have started blowing. In fact, we are here in Devbhoomi Dwarka, where the wind speeds have increased substantially. So has the swell in the sea. Section 1 has been imposed in different parts of the coastal areas in order to make sure that people do not come out of their houses and are safe. Over 45,000 people who live in low-lying areas and who live in kacha houses have already been evacuated. As we heard that efforts are going on war footing, especially in places like Kutch, Mandvi, Jakhau Port, Dwarka, Porbandar, which are likely to take the brunt of the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy. As we speak, the sea continues to swell. The wind speed has been increasing, and administration tells us that efforts are on to make sure that there are proactive steps that are being taken in order to minimize the damage that is likely to take place because of the cyclone. So we have seen that already people have been evacuated. Most importantly, several kacha constructions which are expected to get razed due to the impact of the cyclone. These kacha constructions are
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Cyclone Biparjoy is expected to have a landfall anytime between 6 to 8 p.m. this evening. Wind speed has gathered pace. rain
जो
and
सुरक्षित जगह पे जो लोग हैं उनको भी कोई तकलीफ ना हो उसकी बात को ध्यान रखा जा रहा है। तो यही सीवियर कैटेगरी का साइक्लोन जब आता है तब नुकसान बड़े पैमाने पर होता है। कैटेगरी 1 है इसकी, और अभी भी हालांकि ये कहा गया है दोपहर को कि थोड़ा उसका जो साइक्लोन की जो तेज़ हवाएं हैं वो 115, पहले 125 से 135 थी, वो अब 115 से 125 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे होगी। लेकिन मैं जहाँ पर हूँ जसप्रीत, ये तस्वीर देखा दीजिए, ये कैमरामैन अनूप है मेरे, वो आपको तस्वीरें दिखाएंगे। देखिए पेड़ किस तरीके से, जो हवा का दबाव है, जिस तरीके से यहाँ पर इसकी गति है, रफ्तार है, वो रफ्तार ही दिखाती है कि यहाँ पर जो पेड़ है वो झुक जा रहे हैं।
Railways has been affected. Western Railway has already announced closure of several railways, cancellation of several railways passing from this area and coming here. So several measures are being taken at present in order to make sure that the damage due to the cyclone is minimized. As Gujarat's Home Minister told us yesterday that the instruction from the centre is that there should be zero casualty and all the efforts should be geared towards that. That is why, even before the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy, which is expected to happen today evening between Kutch and Karachi, we are seeing that a lot of measures have been put in place. In fact, home guards have also been appointed at several locations in order to spread awareness among people. The standing instruction to people is they should stay indoors. In case of those who are living in kacha houses, they should immediately move to shelter homes which have been constructed by the government specifically in order to withstand the impact of natural calamities like the cyclones. Most importantly, the people should not stand near trees, near electricity poles or near any single structures which are weak and which may come down. So these are the kind of instructions that have been issued. People have been asked to stay ready for an electricity outage if need be as well. Hospitals have been asked to be on standby, specifically protocols which have been put in place in order to make sure that hospitals keep functioning even when there is electricity outage, and there is enough blood supply to several hospitals. These are the several measures that have been put in place, not just in Dwarka, Devbhoomi Dwarka, where I am standing right now, but in several locations including Kutch, Mandvi, areas around Porbandar, also several places in Jamnagar which are low-lying and which received rainfall yesterday and day before have been kept on standby. So massive deployment that has taken place in several locations here. The NDRF has said that it is constantly watching over the situation and staying in touch with the district administration, which is coordinating efforts for making sure that there are no untoward incidents even as Cyclone Biparjoy makes its headway, even as it comes closer to the coast of Kutch, and as the climatic condition worsens here, not just in Dwarka but around Porbandar, Mandvi and Kutch area as well. So Saurashtra and Kutch have been put on red alert since yesterday. Other places are on orange alert, and rainfall is expected today. The wind speed is expected to continue to surge over the next few hours. In Devbhoomi Dwarka itself, where I am standing, the speed of wind has increased as compared to yesterday, though right now for a few moments we can see that there is a dip, but it is expected that the climatic situation will only worsen in the coming few hours before Cyclone Biparjoy makes a landfall by today evening at around 7 p.m. There was some rainfall that was happening till a while ago, but right now there is respite.
Well, CNN News 18's Vinay Deshpande is joining me live from Dwarka in Gujarat, and she is going to bring you all the latest developments from Ground Zero. Vinay, I hope you are safe there. Could you give us all the details from Ground Zero? Also, could you tell us about the key areas that are going to be affected apart from Gujarat?
Well, we can see that, as the cyclone is progressing towards the coast of Kutch, we are seeing that, more and more winds have started blowing. In fact, we are here in Devbhumi Dwarka, where the wind speeds have increased substantially. So has the swell in the sea. Section 1 has been imposed in different parts of the coastal areas in order to make sure that people do not come out of their houses and are safe. Over 45,000 people who live in low-lying areas and who live in kacha houses have already been evacuated. As we heard that efforts are going on war footing, especially in places like Kutch, Mandvi, Jakhau Port, Dwarka, Porbandar, which are likely to take the brunt of the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy. As we speak, the sea continues to swell. The wind speed has been increasing, and administration tells us that efforts are on to make sure that there are proactive steps that are being taken in order to minimize the damage that is likely to take place because of the cyclone. So we have seen that already people have been evacuated. Most importantly, several kacha constructions which are expected to get razed due to the impact of the cyclone. These kacha constructions are not just evacuated, but also areas around them are being monitored. Around 100 electricity poles have come down since yesterday in Dwarka district alone, and the administration is trying to repair them. Most importantly, the 73 kilometers of highway which passes through different districts which are currently affected due to the onslaught of Cyclone Biparjoy, that entire stretch has been divided between several agencies which have been entrusted with the responsibility of upkeep, because it's expected that as the wind speed increases, trees might get uprooted, electricity poles.
Good evening, hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Anusha Soni. We continue to track Cyclone Biparjoy, which is inching closer to the Gujarat coast and is likely to make a landfall very shortly. On your screen right now, these are the latest visuals that my colleagues are getting for you. My colleague Vinay Deshpande, Navjot, reporting from the ground about the 350-kilometer long stretch, the western coastline of India and also the coastline of Pakistan is going to be affected. This is a tropical cyclone which has affected numerous districts and parts of Gujarat and Maharashtra, certain coastal regions. You already know that the NDRF and the SDRF teams have been deployed at various locations, and more than about 80,000 people have been relocated through safer zones. No loss of life reported so far. Unfortunately, the track record of India to deal with such cyclones in the past as well is something we'll see consistently here as well. There'd be damage to property, that's inevitable, but the administration, the state and the central government have pulled up their socks to ensure that there is no loss to the life that happens. On your screen right now, heavy winds followed by rainfall. That's the nature of a tropical cyclone which really works in. But how does this cyclone really look like? The eastern coastline and the western coastline of India is where traditionally the cyclones are. They are far more intense in the eastern coastline, but even in the western coastline along this coast, along the Arabian Sea, we have seen various cyclones in the last few years. You could look at this pressure area, these lines going around, that's the pressure area, and it's affecting parts of Gujarat, parts of Maharashtra and also parts of Pakistan. That's what it's going to do. That's how the cyclone is developing, and we are expecting in the next 2 hours, that's what the weather department has said. it's likely to make a landfall very, very shortly. As we told you earlier, red alert has been issued for Saurashtra and the Kutch coast today as Gujarat braces for one of the worst cyclones that has hit the state in the last 25 years. As we get you all the details here on CNN News 18, let's have a look at the ground reports which are coming in.
ज़्यादा मुश्किल है। आप लोग बता रहे थे कि महातबाही हो सकती है। मैं कहूँगी तबाही होनी शुरू हो चुकी है। ये तस्वीरें आप देख लीजिए क्योंकि यहाँ पर हवाओं की रफ्तार काफी ज्यादा है और अपने आप को संभालना बेहद मुश्किल हो रहा है, बेहद चुनौती ज्यादा है। विकास, आप तस्वीरें दिखाइए क्योंकि जिस तरीके की इस वक्त तस्वीरें हैं आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर हवाओं की रफ्तार काफी ज्यादा है। रौद्र रूप दिखाना इस तूफान ने शुरू कर दिया है। बिपरजॉय, जिसका मतलब ही आपदा है, आपदा लेकर के आया है। ये माना जा रहा था कि द्वारकाधीश में जो है ज्यादा तबाही होगी और ऐसा होना शुरू हो चुका है। यहाँ पर लहरों ने तांडव मचाना शुरू कर दिया है। कुदरत का रौद्र रूप देखने को मिल रहा है। तो हम ये तस्वीरें आप तक पहुँचा रहे हैं। कोशिश हम करेंगे। आप देखिए तेज बारिश हो रही है यहाँ पर किस तरीके से। ये आप देखिए कि आगे ये जो लोहे के गेट हैं, ग्रिल्स हैं, ये टूट चुकी है पूरी तरीके से। यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे ये पेड़ किसी भी वक्त गिर सकता है, तो खतरा बहुत ज्यादा है। मेरे सहयोगी विकास ठाकुर आप तक तस्वीरें पहुँचा रहे हैं और वाकई क्योंकि ये अपने आप में अनुभव अलग है और टीमें तैनात है, लेकिन जिस तरीके से हवाओं की रफ्तार है, क्योंकि हवाओं की रफ्तार पर ही सब कुछ डिपेंड करेगा। और अभी तो समय है, लैंडफॉल में समय है, लेकिन उससे पहले ही यहाँ पर कुदरत का रौद्र रूप देखने को मिल रहा है। ये जो लोग अभी देख रहे हैं, ये बहुत बड़ा खतरा है जिसको लेकर के केंद्र सरकार तैयार है, गुजरात सरकार पूरी तरीके से तैयार है और ये तस्वीरें हम आप तक पहुँचा रहे हैं। आप देखिए कि द्वारका वो जिला जो सबसे ज्यादा प्रभावित हो सकता था, जैसा कि मौसम विभाग का अनुमान था और यह अनुमान बिल्कुल सही साबित हुआ है क्योंकि जो सैटेलाइट के जरिए तस्वीरें सामने आई थी, जो इस वक्त तकनीक है, उस तकनीक के जरिए सब कुछ देखा जा सकता है। मुझे 1998 का जो कांडला बंदरगाह पर तूफान आया था, वो तस्वीरें मैंने देखी, वो तस्वीरें देखी और अब मैं अनुभव कर पा रही हूँ कि जो चक्रवात को वेरी सीवर कैटेगरी में रखा गया था, उसका मतलब क्या होता है, इसको इतना बड़ा खतरा क्यों कहा जा रहा था, ये अब हम महसूस कर पा रहे हैं और यहाँ पर कल्पना नहीं थी कि ऐसा मंजर होगा।
We are right now in Dwarka where the speed of winds is making it impossible to even stand at a specific location and hold on to your position. My video journalist Rajesh Sapre and I, both of us, are finding it a bit difficult to keep standing and to keep holding grounds even as the wind speed due to Cyclone Biparjoy as it comes close to a landfall has only been increasing. Over 75,000 people have been moved to safety till now is what NDRF says. Of them, close to 10,000 from Dwarka alone, the place where I am right now. Let us try and show you the visuals around this place. This is Dwarka where you're continuously seeing heavy rainfall. You know, all the pots have come down and fallen and broken. There's a pillar that was standing here, which you can see right now, has come down. The tin sheds that are there on this particular hotel and establishment, you know, we can see that the bamboo which is holding those tarpaulin sheets is already loosening up. The flow of the wind as well as the incessant rainfall. You can see the impact of it all due to Cyclone Biparjoy as it comes closer to a landfall. My video journalist Rajesh Sapre is showing you the trees that are being impacted due to the cyclone. Also, you know, we are right close to the seashore. As you can see, the barricading to the electric box that is there, even that is being shattered. It's being cemented to the ground, but that cement holding is also shattering due to the speed of the winds, as you can see here. So it's becoming increasingly difficult to stand and to give out information of the kind of mayhem that is being caused due to the cyclone. We are just a few meters away from the sea, but the visibility of the sea is also getting affected. If I can request my video journalist to show you, there's a tremendous swell in the sea. We can see the waves from where we are standing. The level of sea has risen.
मांडवी में इस वक्त जो स्थिति है वो बेहद खराब हो रही है। मांडवी की तस्वीर हम आपको दिखा रहे हैं। देखिए बहुत तेज बारिश यहाँ पर अब शुरू हो गई है। मैं तस्वीर आपको दिखाना चाहूँगा। ये देखिए किस तरह से ये पूरी सड़क जो है वो खाली है। आपको सिर्फ एक कार नज़र आएगी और बारिश इतनी ज़्यादा है कि इस पूरी सड़क पर आपको धुंध नज़र आएगा। यहाँ देखिए हवा बहुत तेज़ चल रही है। यहाँ खड़े हो पाना बहुत मुश्किल हो पा रहा है। और देखिए मैं अपने कैमरा पर्सन पंकज से कहूँगा कि ज़रा दिखाएं वो हवाओं को, पेड़ के ज़रिए दिखाएं कि किस तरह से जो पेड़ हैं, बड़े बड़े पेड़ हैं, वो किस तरह से हिल रहे हैं, झुक रहे हैं बाकायदा। ये देखिए तस्वीर देखिए ज़रा, ये देखिए बहुत स्थिति अब हम शहर की दिखा रहे हैं। ये स्पीड बहुत ज़्यादा स्पीड है विंड्स की, ये विंड की स्पीड बहुत ज़्यादा नज़र आ रही है। और देखिए लोग यहाँ, कुछ लोग सड़क पर चल रहे थे, वो किस तरह से यहाँ पर एक तरफ खड़े हो गए सड़क से बचने, इस बारिश और हवा से बचने के लिए। ये देखिए यहाँ कुछ महिलाएं और बच्चे जो हैं वो सड़क के किनारे छिपे हुए हैं, लेकिन हम स्थिति यहाँ पर दिखा रहे हैं कि क्या हालात यहाँ पर हैं। क्योंकि जिस जगह हम मौजूद हैं अब यहाँ शहरों में वो असर दिखना शुरू हो गया है जिस बात की आशंका थी। आशंका ये थी कि तूफान जब आएगा तो नुकसान हो सकता है, और वो अब यहाँ पर उसकी जो तस्वीरें हैं वो दिखनी इसलिए शुरू हो गई क्योंकि हवा बहुत तेज़ है। इनमें सबसे ज़्यादा जो नुकसान होता है वो कच्चे घरों को होता है, जो टेम्परेरी स्ट्रक्चर होते हैं उसको बहुत ज़्यादा नुकसान होता है। आप ज़रा ये इस सड़क को देखिए, पूरी तरह से ये सड़क खाली है, पूरा शहर बंद है। कुछ एक लोग हैं जो इन सड़कों पर निकल रहे हैं, या तो कहीं से जा रहे हैं, या फिर मीडिया के लोग इन इलाकों में घूम रहे रिपोर्टिंग के लिए। लेकिन यहाँ आप देखेंगे सब जो पूरे मार्केट है, जो होटल्स हैं, वो सब आपको बंद नजर आएंगे।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल जसप्रीत, आपके सवाल को मैं नहीं सुन पा रहा। यहाँ पर तेज हवाएं जिस तरीके से चल रही है, लेकिन मैं समझ रहा हूँ जिस अनुभव की कोई बात कर रही थी आप, अनुभव वाकई में मैंने भी कई साइक्लोन यहाँ पर कवर किए, लेकिन इस समय पर जो इस तरीके से तेज हवाओं के साथ, क्योंकि अब तक जो साइक्लोन रही या तो देर रात को या अर्ली मॉर्निंग आई, ये अभी शाम का वक्त है, और उस समय पर यहाँ से इतनी तेज हवाओं के साथ खासतौर पे 115 के 120 किलोमीटर, हालांकि वो इतनी फिलहाल अभी इतनी स्पीड नहीं होगी, लेकिन जब हिट होगा यानी कुछ ही घंटों में जब जखाऊ से यहाँ से गुजरेगा, उस वक्त उतनी ही 115 से 125 के किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की रफ्तार से हवाएं होगी। ऐसे में मुश्किल होता है वहाँ पर कोई भी स्ट्रक्चर, कच्चा स्ट्रक्चर उसके सामने नहीं खड़ा रह पाता। आसपास के इलाकों में चाहे पेट्रोल पंप हो, चाहे बाकी जो जरूरी जो चीज़ें थी, जो बेचने वाली चीज़ें थी, वो सबको यहाँ पर फिलहाल बंद करा दिया है। देखिए यहाँ पर किस हद तक हवाएं चल रही है।
Jakhau Port, that's where Cyclone Biparjoy is expected to make a landfall. The visuals on your screen right now, my colleagues getting you this story as it progresses. Well, from the time in the 90s when any kind of cyclone of this nature, whether in the east coast or in the west coast, claims hundreds or sometimes thousands of lives, to a point where we have safely evacuated 75,000 people to safe locations. It's a story of how India's disaster management system has progressively responded in a very efficient manner. All the areas which are directly under the red alert have been evacuated. People have been moved to safer locations. As I said earlier, red alert has been issued for Saurashtra-Kutch coast in the state of Gujarat that braces for one of the worst cyclones that the state has seen in the last 25 years. The authorities, as I said, successfully relocated individuals. The loss of property is something that one cannot avert. But as far as the loss of life is concerned, that has been completely controlled. And that is exactly something that has been the trajectory of India in the last 10 to 15 years. Once again, cutting across to some ground reports.
बिपरजॉय साइक्लोन कच्छ के जखौ में लैंड होने की संभावना जताई है। दोपहर के बाद ये प्रोसेस शुरू होगी। इससे पहले आप देख सकते हैं कि द्वारका का इलाका है जो इफेक्ट होने वाला है और साइक्लोन बिपरजॉय की वजह से हवाएं तेजी से चल रही है, तेजी से बारिश भी हो रही है और आप देख सकते हैं कि पूरा माहौल ये जो द्वारका का बीच है जहां लोग आते जाते रहे, लेकिन आज ये हालत देख सकते हैं, उससे अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं कि अभी तो शुरुआत ही नहीं हुई। इससे पहले ये द्वारका में तेजी से हवा चल रही है और जो यहाँ से प्रशासन ने पूरी तैयारी करके रखी है, जो साइक्लोन से पहले जो करना था काम वो भी खत्म कर दिया है और साइक्लोन के बाद भी जो करना है उसके लिए भी प्रिपरेशन करके रखी है। लेकिन आज दोपहर के बाद 5 बजे के बाद लैंडिंग प्रोसेस शुरू होने की संभावना है, लेकिन बिपरजॉय थोड़ा स्लो हो गया है और जखौ के आसपास वो लैंडिंग करने वाला है।
Well, as the cyclone is inching closer to the Gujarat coast, the Indian Coast Guard has also made all the arrangements to deal with any untoward incident, God forbid. Weather warning broadcasts will be done by the ICG ships. There are aircrafts, radar stations to warn all the mariners. It has been ensured that all the fishing boats in the area, especially the areas which are most vulnerable, are returned to safer locations. Oil handling agencies, because it directly affects the Arabian Sea. All oil handling agencies were also sensitized to prepare for contingencies. 15 ships are ready at multiple locations at different configuration. And as I said, the Indian Coast Guard has taken stock of the entire preparedness. Helicopter operation facilities have been activated, especially at Okla, Jakhau and Vadinar areas for quick response in the Kutch district. Cutting across to my colleague Vinaya Deshpande. Vinaya, help us understand what's happening on the ground. How severe is the storm right now?
Well, right now the situation is really worsened. We can see that the wind speed has continuously been growing. Rainfall has been growing. I am here at Dwarka.
All right, Vinaya, take care as you report all the details and developments.
Dwarka, and as you can see, it is impossible to maintain our balance. We can see that the poles have come down, the gates have come crashing. There is heavy destruction everywhere. The wind speeds are almost impossible to sustain right now. My video journalist Ajay Sapre is showing you all the dramatic visuals of the action on field as Biparjoy continues to close in towards the landfall on the coast of Gujarat. We are seeing that there is massive destruction around everywhere. The speed of the wind has only been growing incessantly. Even bigger vehicles are finding it difficult to navigate through this. We are trying to get you the ground situation here. And we are seeing that there is a continuous surge in the wind speed. As of now, authorities tell us that over 75,000 people have been rescued to safety. But, Section 134 has been imposed in several low-lying areas, several coastal areas of Gujarat. Coming close to a landfall. I don't know if you can hear.
I can hear you just fine. I can hear you just fine, Vinaya. We see your reporting and also the reporting that your video journalist is putting forward. Please go ahead. We continue to listen to your reporter.
It's really difficult to stand steady at this location. You're seeing that the wind speeds have been rising very, very fast, leading to a massive destruction. On your screen, the dramatic visuals of the destruction that is being caused. It is not easy, not to withstand the kind of
My colleague Vinaya Deshpande reporting from the ground. These are winds which can be up to 150 kilometers per hour. About a 350-kilometer long stretch has been affected along the western coast of India. It also includes certain parts of Pakistan. We showed you that on the map. The disturbances that have been building in. Vinaya Deshpande reporting from Dwarka in Gujarat. And imagine a situation and a scenario where a person is finding it very difficult to stand because the wind speed is very high. These are, of course, very challenging situations for any journalist to report into. Vinaya, I'm coming back to you. We can see you in the visuals, how difficult the situation is right now. Talk us through these visuals. So we continue to stay with the visuals that Vinaya is sending us, and because of the bad weather conditions, we seem to have lost the audio of Vinaya Deshpande. But imagine the work that the video journalist has to do at this point in time. When you can't stand steady, it's a camera that has to stand steady in the winds which are blowing so fast. The areas around, you can see they have been affected. The trees will tell you the speed of the wind and the kind of evacuation operations that have been done by the authorities in the vicinity. Vinaya Deshpande reporting that's the area where the cyclone is expected to make a landfall. My colleague Navjot is also reporting from the ground. There are strong winds. Homes have been damaged. Storm intensifies as we talk you through these visuals emerging from the coast of Gujarat. The authorities have been put on a very high alert. Strong winds, heavy rains have lashed parts of Gujarat as Cyclone Biparjoy approached the coast of the state and is likely to make a landfall very, very soon. Once again, dipping into the ground reports.
बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल है। आप लोग बता रहे थे कि महातबाही हो सकती है। मैं कहूँगी तबाही होनी शुरू हो चुकी है। ये तस्वीरें आप देख लीजिए क्योंकि यहाँ पर हवाओं की रफ्तार काफी ज्यादा है और अपने आप को संभालना बेहद मुश्किल हो रहा है, बेहद चुनौती ज्यादा है। विकास, आप तस्वीरें दिखाइए क्योंकि जिस तरीके की इस वक्त तस्वीरें हैं आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ पर हवाओं की रफ्तार काफी ज्यादा है। रौद्र रूप दिखाना इस तूफान ने शुरू कर दिया है। बिपरजॉय, जिसका मतलब ही आपदा है, आपदा लेकर के आया है। ये माना जा रहा था कि द्वारकाधीश में जो है ज्यादा तबाही होगी और ऐसा होना शुरू हो चुका है। यहाँ पर लहरों ने तांडव मचाना शुरू कर दिया है। कुदरत का रौद्र रूप देखने को मिल रहा है। तो हम ये तस्वीरें आप तक पहुँचा रहे हैं। कोशिश हम करेंगे। आप देखिए तेज बारिश हो रही है यहाँ पर किस तरीके से। ये आप देखिए कि आगे ये जो लोहे के गेट हैं, ग्रिल्स हैं, ये टूट चुकी है पूरी तरीके से। यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे ये पेड़ किसी भी वक्त गिर सकता है, तो खतरा बहुत ज्यादा है। मेरे सहयोगी विकास ठाकुर आप तक तस्वीरें पहुँचा रहे हैं और वाकई क्योंकि ये अपने आप में अनुभव अलग है और टीमें तैनात है, लेकिन जिस तरीके से हवाओं की रफ्तार है, क्योंकि हवाओं की रफ्तार पर ही सब कुछ डिपेंड करेगा। और अभी तो समय है, लैंडफॉल में समय है, लेकिन उससे पहले ही यहाँ पर कुदरत का रौद्र रूप देखने को मिल रहा है। ये जो लोग अभी देख रहे हैं, ये बहुत बड़ा खतरा है जिसको लेकर के केंद्र सरकार तैयार है, गुजरात सरकार पूरी तरीके से तैयार है और ये तस्वीरें हम आप तक पहुँचा रहे हैं। आप देखिए कि द्वारका वो जिला जो सबसे ज्यादा प्रभावित हो सकता था, जैसा कि मौसम विभाग का अनुमान था, और यह अनुमान बिल्कुल सही साबित हुआ है क्योंकि जो सैटेलाइट के जरिए तस्वीरें सामने आई थी, जो इस वक्त तकनीक है, उस तकनीक के जरिए सब कुछ देखा जा सकता है। मुझे 1998 का जो कांडला बंदरगाह पर तूफान आया था, वो तस्वीरें मैंने देखी, वो तस्वीरें देखी और अब मैं अनुभव कर पा रही हूँ कि जो चक्रवात को वेरी सीवर कैटेगरी में रखा गया था, उसका मतलब क्या होता है, इसको इतना बड़ा खतरा क्यों कहा जा रहा था, ये अब हम महसूस कर पा रहे हैं। और यहाँ पर कल्पना नहीं थी कि ऐसा मंजर होगा।
Different parts and districts of Gujarat have been affected. Those are the visuals coming in from different parts. There's a close watch that the Indian Coast Guard has also maintained along the western coast. There are helicopters and different facilities that have been set up. One has also ensured that there are no ships or any kind of maritime activity which is happening at this point in time. Over 70 to 80,000 people have been moved to safer locations. Biparjoy is very soon expected to make a landfall, and the disaster management system here in India has responded very efficiently. We'll continue tracking the story here on CNN News 18. The visuals on your screen right now. We're slipping into a very short break.
landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy. As we speak, the sea continues to swell. The wind speed has been increasing, and administration tells us that efforts are on to make sure that there are proactive steps that are being taken in order to minimize the damage that is likely to take place because of the cyclone. So we have seen that already people have been evacuated. Most importantly, several kacha constructions which are expected to get razed due to the impact of the cyclone. These kacha constructions are not just evacuated, but also areas around them are being monitored. Around 100 electricity poles have come down since yesterday in Dwarka district alone, and the administration is trying to repair them. Most importantly, the 73 kilometers of highway which passes through different districts which are currently affected due to the onslaught of Cyclone Biparjoy. That entire stretch has been divided between several agencies which have been entrusted with the responsibility of upkeep, because it's expected that as the wind speed increases, trees might get uprooted, electricity poles may come down, holdings may come down, thereby causing some disturbance for road transport at such crucial juncture. It is important to have the arterial roads open for transport and communication, and that is why several agencies, made the NDRF, SDRF, the state disaster, have all been entrusted with different parts of the highways in order to make sure that there is no repetition of effort and that there is coordination. At such times, the highway should stay clear. As of now, the bus services that come to these areas have been completely shut down. Public transport in terms of buses and railways has been affected. Western Railway has already announced closure of several railways, cancellation of several railways passing from this area and coming here. So several measures are being taken at present in order to make sure that the damage due to the cyclone is minimized. As Gujarat's Home Minister told us yesterday, that the instruction from the centre is that there should be zero casualty and all the efforts should be geared towards that. That is why, even before the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy, which is expected to happen today evening between Kutch and Karachi, we are seeing that a lot of measures have been put in place. In fact, home guards have also been appointed at several locations in order to spread awareness among people. The standing instruction to people is they should stay indoors. In case of those who are living in kacha houses, they should immediately move to shelter homes which have been constructed by the government specifically in order to withstand the impact of natural calamities like the cyclones. Most importantly, the people should not stand near trees, near electricity poles or near any single structures which are weak and which may come down. So these are the kind of instructions that have been issued. People have been asked to stay ready for an electricity outage if need be as well. Hospitals have been asked to be on standby, specifically protocols which have been put in place in order to make sure that hospitals keep functioning even when there is electricity outage, and there is enough blood supply to several hospitals. These are the several measures that have been put in place, not just in Dwarka, Devbhoomi Dwarka, where I am standing right now, but in several locations including Kutch, Mandvi, areas around Porbandar, also several places in Jamnagar which are low-lying and which received rainfall yesterday and day before. have been kept on standby. So massive deployment that has taken place in several locations here. The NDRF has said that it is constantly watching over the situation and staying in touch with the district administration, which is coordinating efforts for making sure that there are no untoward incidents even as Cyclone Biparjoy makes its headway, even as it comes closer to the coast of Kutch, and as the climatic condition worsens here, not just in Dwarka but around Porbandar, Mandvi and Kutch area as well. So Saurashtra and Kutch have been put on red alert since yesterday. Other places are on orange alert, and rainfall is expected today. The wind speed is expected to continue to surge over the next few hours. In Devbhoomi, Dwarka itself, where I'm standing, the speed of wind has increased as compared to yesterday, though right now for a few
Welcome back in. We talk about the big story, the Uniform Civil Code and that debate in this country. The 22nd Law Commission has started a fresh round of consultation, and views of public, expert groups, religious clerics and organizations have been sought by the law panel, and this is for the larger idea of having a uniform civil code in this country. A directive principle of state policy, it has not seen the light of the day. It continues to remain as an ideal that we wish to have in modern India, which is a democratic republic. Even today, despite being a democracy which is 75 years mature, we do not have a uniform set of laws that govern the sphere of our personal life. Marriage, divorce, inheritance, adoption and various other facets of our life continue to be governed by religious laws. While the Hindu personal law is the codified one, there are various other laws, for example the Muslim personal law, which largely is uncodified or has a scattered bit of litigation here and there. Now all these pieces of legislations have to be compiled together, and one common civil code is an ideal about which Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar spoke of. Will that really be a reality in this country? Will the present government, which had promised this in its manifesto, can really translate it as a statute book in today's day and age? That's the big question we ask. Uniform Civil Code, can it be a reality in today's day and age?
Uniform Civil Code is the most secular anyone in a secular country can get.
The agenda of the BJP is to sort of make this into a polarizing issue just before the elections next year, because their entire target is targeted particularly at one community.
इस मल्टी रिलीजियस मल्टी कल्चरल सोसाइटी में यूसीसी प्रैक्टिकली पॉसिबल नहीं है, और फिर सिर्फ मुसलमान ही इसके मुखालिफ नहीं है, सिर्फ मुसलमान ही के पर्सनल लॉज नहीं है, बल्कि जितनी भी रिलीजियस कम्युनिटीज़ हैं सबके अपने पर्सनल लॉज हैं।
समान नागरिक संहिता का कोई विरोध करता है तो वही विरोध करेगा जो देश की महिलाओं को अलग समझता है, बच्चों को अधिकार दिलाने से बचता है।
Well, one nation, one law. Shouldn't that be a reality in today's India? What is holding back India from having a uniform civil code, which most experts, constitutional experts across the world would argue should be the reality in today's day and age? Taking this question to our special panels joining us on Viewpoint, Mr. P.K. Malhotra, who's a former law secretary, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, who's a spokesperson of BJP, Pankaj Sharma, who's a journalist, and Tausif Ahmed Khan, who's an advocate and political analyst. Now, I'm coming to you, Mr. Malhotra, first. The 21st Law Commission under Justice B.S. Chauhan had argued that perhaps the time is not right for us to have a uniform civil code, and he cited the diversity, the sheer diversity of India, including the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution that gives special rights to the tribal communities or certain communities in the northeastern regions to have their own set of laws. What is holding India back as far as UCC is concerned? Mr. P.K. Malhotra, if you can hear me, sir. All right, I'll try and fix that line. Mr. Gopal Krishna Agrawal, the spokesperson of the BJP, is also with us on the show. Gopalji, last time when the law panel was constituted, and it was constituted by Modi government, the law panel did not opine favorably for the Uniform Civil Code. Justice B.S. Chauhan said that that commission and that report, when it came out, it said that perhaps at this point it is not necessary, quote unquote, for us to have a UCC. All right, we seem to have a problem with the audio of Gopal Krishna Agrawal as well. Gopalji, can you unmute yourself, please?
Now I'm audible now.
You're audible, sir. You're audible,
Yeah.
sir. Please go ahead.
The issue, what I wanted to tell is, timing can be questioned and timing can be different, and there is a process through which the whole lawmaking goes through.
Yep.
There is a process of discussion, then there is a consensus building, whatever the objections or support for anything is there. Then finally the law commission gives the recommendation. Then it goes to the parliament. It's a long drawn process. But ultimately what the opposition does is that it jumps on every issue, and every independent institution is said to be driven with the agenda. The second point that I want to underline is, does the country has to move towards the Uniform Civil Code or not? Because it is the Constitution in the Directive Principle, Article 44, it has clearly said that the country should have the Uniform Civil Code. So ultimately, the roadmap that the country travels, the time it takes is a different issue. There are various aspects, but as such, Uniform Civil Code, the opposition is trying to say that this is a divisive agenda. I do not agree with that. That is itself, that not having a Uniform Civil Code is a divisive agenda which the opposition had been trying to pursue since independence. In 1956,
Gopalji, I agree with you that the entire idea of a uniform civil code in our country is not seen through a constitutional lens, but rather through a political lens in this country. But I also want to ask a question to the government and the ruling party right now, that at various occasions in the Supreme Court has asked the government that when are you going to bring a uniform civil code in this country? To which the government has often said in the Supreme Court that, look, do not interfere in this matter. This is a matter which is best left to the government, and there is no commitment that has been given to any court of law in this country as to how soon can we have a UCC. So one wonders, if the present government is committed on UCC, what is taking it so long to implement it?
We have to understand that even if the law commission suggests or recommends anything, ultimately it is the government of the day which takes the decision through the parliamentary process.
Right.
So the thing is, at this stage, it's only on a discussion stage, and there is definitely the commitment from our constitution that the government have been directed to move towards the Uniform Civil Code. So what I want to say is that in 1956, when there was a personal Hindu code bill for the personal law amendment and reforms in the Hindu code bill, at that time also there was a debate, and at that point of time, the people in power, due to their appeasement politics or pseudo-secularism, that what we call is vote bank politics, etc., they went for reforms in the Hindu personal law, but they abstained from doing any reforms in the other Muslim personal law particularly.
Right.
So I think it's already very late. It should have been done in 50s, but though it is late, the constitution puts the obligation on the government, and at this stage it's on a discussion panel. There are those who have objection, they can also give their opinion.
And even in the last law commission panel, there were objections that were raised and they were communicated to the law panel. So if any citizen of the country has any kind of opinion, they can share it.
To cast aspirations that Uniform Civil Code is a divisive
Tausif Ahmed Khan, to cast a political eye on an idea like a Uniform Civil Code, which is largely reformist in nature, which was spoken not just by the likes of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and various other leaders of independent India, but by the likes of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as well. Why would you call it a divisive agenda?
You see, people like Jawaharlal Nehru and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, those were people of different stature. look at their educational qualification, look at their personal and public life, how they lived their life and how they conducted, and look at their speeches. What kind of idea of India they had. But the present regime that we are in is a communal government with a communal set of mind, with always looking for a communal agenda to keep their wheels of politics
You
moving.
have to first clarify, is UCC communal or not?
One second, Gopalji, let him make his point. Let him make his point. I'll come back to you, sir. Let him make his point.
Only 3 years ago, in 2018 August, a 215 something around that maybe 185 page of law commission was presented on this very topic, on the on the reform of family laws. And in that law commission, which was working under the present BJP government, it was not a law commission of Congress government, it was a law commission of working under this government only. And they categorically said that UCC at this stage is neither desirable nor necessary.
But Tausif, one second. You can't say in one breath that the present government is communal and then say in the second breath, but their own law commission said, look, you cannot implement it. That means that the government worked on this particular issue with a certain set of democratic temper. Now my question to you is, while there is a political case you do have as an analyst and a commentator on political issues, that the present government is of a certain nature, but the idea of a uniform civil code, the seed, this idea comes from the constitutional churning that India has gone through. It's a promise of the Indian constitution, and some elected government will have to deliver on this promise.
Absolutely. The Constitution of India had promised to its people a lot of reforms in every sphere of life, in social sphere of life, in uplifting the India from the poverty. Have we achieved them? You see, in order to have a mature population, in order to have a population who will understand what Uniform Civil Code means, you need to bring them up to a certain level.
But that was not the case. That was not the case when polygamy was banned. When polygamy was banned with the majority community and most other communities in India, I don't think that we were at a certain education level, or most of the India was out of poverty. In fact, it was the early years and early decade after independence that we saw that reform out of the day. A big job of the Indian constitution is to reform. Why should anybody be allowed to have more than one wife? This is clearly a law which is violative of human rights, violative of right to equality, but these customs continue to survive under this entire subterfuge of so-called personal laws.
See, exceptions cannot be discussed as if it is the rule. You and I very clearly understand what exceptions means and what is rule. As a matter of rule, we know practically Muslim population, they more or less majority of them, they live with one wife. If they marry second time, then there are reasons for it. The genesis of it is there in the religion, in the textbook. Okay. Now the concept of marriage, the concept of union of a couple, of a man and a woman, is a social contract in Islamic law. Whereas if you look at Hindu law, it is a divine union.
No, but that's only in principle. Divorce is not something that the Hindu religion gives you the permission of, but divorce happens in Hindu communities as well. In modern day and age, a marriage is a social contract for all religions said. I want to bring in Pankaj Sharma and also Mr. P.K. Malhotra into the discussion. Pankaj, what is the reason that we continue to have the debate around uniform civil code in this country on these very sharp political and divisive lines? Why is it called a divisive communal agenda? And why don't we look at it from a lens of equal rights for women, welfare politics, having just and equitable laws, which should happen in any democracy? Pankaj.
See, implementing UCC is a different thing. Intention behind this is a different thing. Is it so difficult for you to understand that why all this begin when elections are a few months away? There are elections in 5 states. Then there will be general elections also. And there is a possibility of general elections in the end of this year with these assembly elections. So BJP has to play all these dirty tricks. The debate on UCC is a tool to understand the design. I'll tell you the chronology. Just see the chronology. 21st Law Commission was constituted in 2016. Justice Balbir Singh Chauhan submitted a report saying that UCC at this time is not necessary, not desired. Then the term of 21st Law Commission ended in August 2018. 22nd Law Panel was constituted for a period of 3 years in February 2020. So its terms was supposed to end on 20th February 23. But in November last year, its chairperson, who is the current chairperson, Justice Rituraj Awasthi, he retired from the Karnataka High Court. He assumed charge as the chairperson of this 22nd Commission and given the task to settle this UCC matter. The term of the commission was extended up to 31st August 2024. So Justice Rituraj Awasthi, who is the current chairman, now has been given this task. So you see all these dates. Do they tell you something?
Well,
so the design behind it.
Yeah.
The design behind it is different. So
well,
for such a hugely diverse country like ours, implementation of UCC would not be practical, workable, and judicious. This has to be taken
you asked
it is
me.
a very long debate.
No, it is a very long debate, and the issue is not just to the minority community or to the Muslims in this country. Right now, I am being told that there is an important press conference by the IMD which is happening. It's on Cyclone Biparjoy. We have to cut across to those live developments.
के साथ टकराएगा उस समय जो विंड स्पीड कितनी होगी और रेनफॉल कितना एक्सपेक्टेड है उस टाइम पे सर? जैसे हम बोल रहे थे, मैं अभी फिर रिपीट कर रहा हूं, इसका जो विंड स्पीड है अभी 115 टू 125 किलोमीटर पर आवर और यही विंड स्पीड के साथ ये तट को पार करेगा। मिडनाइट तक कंप्लीट आई लैंड पर होगा और अभी जो विंड स्पीड चल रहा है लगभग 60 to 80 kmph along and off सौराष्ट्र एंड कच्छ कोस्ट की डिस्ट्रिक्ट पास चल रहा है और बड़ी तेजी से इसका विंड स्पीड बढ़ेगा अभी और बढ़ के 115 टू 125 kmph हो सकता है। कहीं कहीं गस्टिनेस में 140 kmph तक जा सकते हैं और ये विंड स्पीड अभी शुरू हो रहा है राइज होना, क्योंकि फॉरवर्ड सेक्टर जो होता है आई वॉल या वॉल क्लाउड रीजन, वो अभी सौराष्ट्र-कच्छ का जो कोस्टल डिस्ट्रिक्ट के वहाँ एंटर कर रहे हैं। फिर इसके बाद आई एंटर होगा, आई एंटर करने के बाद फिर जो रियर सेक्टर है साइक्लोन का वो एंटर होगा। सो एंटायर प्रोसेस कंप्लीट होने के लिए मिडनाइट तक ये चालू रहेगा। ये थोड़ा से ज़्यादा टाइम लेगा पूरा साइक्लोन का वॉल क्लाउड और आई रीजन लैंड पर जाने के लिए, इसलिए क्योंकि ये साइक्लोन रिलेटिवली थोड़ा से धीरे चल रहा है।
सर, आपने वॉल क्लाउड का बार बार जिक्र करे, आम लोगों की भाषा में अगर समझाएं तो वॉल क्लाउड क्या होता है, जो पिछला हिस्सा क्या होता है, ये आम लोग समझना चाहेंगे सर आपसे।
अभी जैसे आप देख रहे हैं ये रडार भुज है जी, रडार भुज का ये जो क्लाउड मास आप देख रहे हैं इसको वॉल क्लाउड बोलते हैं जी सर। और ये वॉल क्लाउड धीरे धीरे आप जैसे एनिमेशन में देख रहे हैं अप्रोच कर रहे हैं सौराष्ट्र-कच्छ का कोस्टल पार्ट को। जैसे ऑलरेडी हमारा जो द्वारिका डिस्ट्रिक्ट है और कच्छ डिस्ट्रिक्ट से वहाँ वॉल क्लाउड रीजन टच करके आगे बढ़ रहा है। सेम चीजें यहाँ आप सैटेलाइट एनिमेशन में देख सकते हैं। जैसे ये आई है और ये जो क्लाउड है इसको वॉल क्लाउड बोलते हैं। जो आई की सराउंडिंग होता है वो बहुत तेज क्लाउड होता है, 15 किलोमीटर हाइट होता है, बहुत सारे बारिश वहाँ होता है। कोई वॉल क्लाउड रीजन यही रीजन है जहाँ सबसे डिस्ट्रक्शन दिखाई देता है, वही रीजन पे सबसे मैक्सिमम विंड होता है, वही रीजन पे सबसे मैक्सिमम रेनफॉल होता है और वही रीजन पे मैक्सिमम विंड होते की वजह से स्टॉर्म सर्च भी वही रीजन में ज्यादा होता है। जैसे आप जैसे यहाँ देख रहे हैं सैटेलाइट पिक्चर से कि बहुत डेंस कन्वेक्टिव क्लाउड अभी कच्छ और द्वारिका जैसे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एंटर कर चुके हैं, इसलिए हम बोल रहे हैं कि लैंडफॉल प्रोसेस शुरू हो चुका है।
जो केंद्र बिंदु की बात आप कहते हैं उसका आकार क्या होगा? आप कह रहे हैं कि केंद्र बिंदु बड़ा है, उसका आकार क्या होगा? कुल आकार 700 किलोमीटर।
साइक्लोन का जो केंद्र है इसको आई बोला जाता है और ये जो आई आप देख रहे हैं यहाँ, इसका डायमीटर है लगभग 50 किलोमीटर। सो ये जो स्पीड में चल रहा है अभी
जैसे 13-14 किलोमीटर स्पीड में अभी आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, इसलिए कंप्लीटली आई वॉल क्लाउड पूरा अंदर जाने के लिए लगभग 5 घंटा लग जाएगा।
और सर उस वक्त
इसीलिए हम बोल रहे हैं मिडनाइट तक ये पूरी साइक्लोन का जो आई रीजन है और आई वॉल यानी वॉल क्लाउड है वो लैंड पे आ जाएगा।
और उस वक्त विंड की रफ्तार कितनी होगी सर जब आई टकराएगा तट से?
जब आई टकराएगा आई की रीजन में तो फॉर टाइम बिंग स्मॉल पीरियड के लिए काम विंड हो जाता है, मगर जब आई वॉल एंटर करता है तब सबसे ज्यादा विंड होता है। सो जहां आई टकराएगा यानी जखाऊ के आसपास जो एरिया है जहां आई पास करेगा, पहले फॉरवर्ड सेक्टर ऑफ द आई वॉल आएगा और तब विंड स्पीड बढ़ते हुए 115 to 125 kmph हो सकता है। फिर जब आई पास कर जाएगा फिर रेयर सेक्टर साइक्लोन का आएगा, तो फिर जब 1 घंटे के लिए कि आधा घंटे के लिए जो विंड स्पीड कम हो गया होगा फिर विंड स्पीड बढ़ेगा और 115 to 125 kmph फिर विंड आ सकता है। मैं आपको ये से एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ। जब अभी ये वॉल क्लाउड अप्रोच कर रहा है कच्छ कोस्ट की तरफ, यहाँ भी विंड स्पीड बढ़ रहा है और ये विंड स्पीड का डायरेक्शन यही होता है कि ईस्टर्ली डायरेक्शन से जाकर वेस्ट की तरफ विंड जा रहा है। अभी जैसे ये मूव करके यहाँ तक आ जाएगा लैंडफॉल के टाइम, तब यहाँ विंड कम हो जाएगा, नहीं तो वेरी स्लो हो जाएगा विंड, जैसे 5 to 10 kmph। इसके बाद ये जो रियर सेक्टर है, ये रियर सेक्टर यहाँ आएगा, फिर हेवी रेन शुरू होगा और फिर स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड भी शुरू होगा। इसीलिए जब ये आई पास कर रहा होगा तब यानी कभी भी कोई भी व्यक्ति ये महसूस करे कि ऑल ऑफ ए सडन बारिश बंद हो गया, नहीं तो ऑल ऑफ ए सडन विंड बहुत कम हो गया, ये मत सोचिए कि साइक्लोन डिसिपेट हो गया। मगर साइक्लोन का आई आपका रीजन ऊपर जा रहे हैं, ये बड़ा डिस्ट्रक्टिव है। आपको वेट करना है जब तक इंडिया मेट्रोलॉजिकल डिपार्टमेंट ये नहीं बोला है कि साइक्लोन कंप्लीटली अंदर चला गया, तब तक आप सेफ प्लेसेस में रहिए, साइक्लोन शेल्टर के अंदर रहिए, बाहर मत आइए।
सर क्लाउड वॉल और आई का जो जिक्र किया, कितने घंटे तक लगभग ये कच्छ और जखाऊ के इस रीजन में रहेगा, इसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होगा, कितने सेंटीमीटर जो रेनफॉल है आप वो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं?
यही बात मैं बार बार बोल रहा हूँ, 5 घंटे मिडनाइट तक इसका असर रहेगा पूरा आई वॉल आई पास करने के लिए। और इसमें हेवी टू वेरी हेवी रेनफॉल होने के साथ साथ कहाँ एक्सट्रीमली हेवी रेनफॉल यानी 20 सेंटीमीटर से ज्यादा बारिश हो सकता है। और इसके साथ साथ जैसे यहाँ विंड ऐसे जा रहे हैं, अभी साउथ से नॉर्थ विंड टकरा रहे हैं, जो लो लाइंग एरिया है कच्छ में और द्वारिका में या मोरबी में और जामनगर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में, यहाँ इनंडेशन कर सकता है। और सबसे ज्यादा इनंडेशन कच्छ एरिया में हो सकता है जब ये पास करेगा। और हमारा पूर्वानुमान जो है वो है 2 से 3 मीटर हाइट का सामुद्रिक लहर आ सकता है और इनंडेशन करा सकता है।
सर आपने कहा कि जब केंद्र बिंदु पास होगा, जो आई है 50 किलोमीटर जिसका डायमीटर आपने बताया, तो वो जब पारित करता है तो उसका एक सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट फीचर ये है कि तब हवाएं कम चलेंगी या बारिश नहीं होगी। वो कितना, उसका डायमीटर क्या होगा जो आप कह रहे हैं जब ये आई पास?
एरिया कितना होगा?
देखिए साइक्लोन मूव कर रहा है ना, जब ये तट को टकराएगा ऑल ऑफ ए सडन जो अभी हेवी रेन और स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड चल रहा है वो कम हो जाएगा। तो इससे महसूस होगा कि ये आई आ रहे हैं अभी, और ये आई मूव करने के लिए जब डायरेक्ट जखाऊ के पास आप देखेंगे लगभग 2 घंटा लग सकता है कंप्लीट आई जाने के लिए, कि 1 घंटा लग सकता है। फिर इसका जो रियर सेक्टर है, ये जो आप देख रहे हैं यहाँ, ये फिर आ जाएगा कच्छ डिस्ट्रिक्ट के ऊपर। और जब फिर रियर सेक्टर आएगा, फिर विंड डायरेक्शन जो अभी ईस्ट से वेस्ट विंड था, अभी विंड वेस्ट से ईस्ट हो जाएगा, माने ऑपोजिट विंड हो जाएगा। सो जो पेड़ पहले घिर नहीं रहा था अभी वो पेड़ घिर जाएगा, जो मकान टूटा नहीं था अभी वो मकान टूट जाएगा, क्योंकि अभी ऑपोजिट विंड से सेम स्पीड से विंड आ रहा है, इसीलिए जैसे धक्का लगता है, इसलिए इसका नुकसान हो सकता है।
इसलिए जब आई
जो एरिया में आई पास कर रहे हैं वहाँ 2 बार आई वॉल आ रहे हैं, इसलिए वो एरिया सबसे ज्यादा खतरनाक है और डेंजरस है।
तस्वीरों में जो दिखता है सर, गोल्ड साइक्लोन जिस तरीके से मूव करता है, उसी को आप कह रहे हैं आई वही सबसे ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट है।
मैं आपको आई दिखा रहा हूँ ना यहाँ, ये आई है जहाँ आप व्हाइट वो आई है, ये जो रीजन आप देख रहे हैं ये आई वॉल है।
सर आपने ये भी कहा कि जब केंद्र बिंदु आएगा तो हवाएं नहीं चलेंगी, बारिश कम हो जाएंगी, और दूसरी तरफ ये भी कह रहे हैं कि बहुत हवाएं रफ्तार सबसे ज्यादा, तो ये क्या कंफ्यूजन है?
जब आई आएगा आई जिस एरिया के ऊपर होगा तब ऑल ऑफ ए सडन आपका विंड स्पीड कम हो जाएगा, बारिश भी कम हो जाएगा 1 घंटे के लिए, नहीं तो 1.5 घंटे के लिए। इसके बाद फिर जो पिछला हिस्सा आएगा साइक्लोन का, फिर ऑल ऑफ ए सडन आपका बारिश तेज होगा, हेवी रेन होगा, फिर विंड बढ़ेगा। तो एरिया जहां आई क्रॉस करेगा, माने सेंटर क्रॉस करेगा, वहां 2 बार ऐसे स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड एंड हेवी रेन देखने को मिलेगा।
सर आपने कहा कि अभी 70 किलोमीटर दूर जखाऊ पोर्ट या उस तट के से है वो, तो वहां पे पहुंचने में भी कितना टाइम उसके सेंटर को लगेगा?
देखिए, जैसे पूरा जाने के लिए 5 घंटा लगेगा मैं बोल रहा हूँ, सो सेंटर एग्जैक्टली जाने के लिए 2.5 घंटा लगेगा।
सर कितना स्ट्रक्चर डैमेज आप एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आप जिस तरह की कंडीशन बता रहे हैं उससे सबसे ज्यादा डैमेज कोस्टल लाइन पे रहने वाले लोगों के घर और जो बाकी जो स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं उनको होगा, तो किस तरीके की हिदायत दी गई है फर्दर?
देखिए, हमारा जो पूर्वानुमान है वो अभी भी जारी है। जो विंड स्पीड बोला था वही विंड स्पीड हम बोल रहे हैं, इसलिए जो स्ट्रक्चरल डैमेज होगा हम पहले बोले थे, अभी वो जारी है।
पाथ में कोई चेंजेस नहीं, वही पाथ है जो
बात वही है जब जखाऊ के आसपास क्रॉस करके हम बोले थे। हम भी अभी यही एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि कराची और मांडवी के बीच में जखाऊ के आसपास ये तट को पार करेगा।
सर अभी आप बोल रहे हैं कि आई ऑफ द साइक्लोन में स्पीड 50 किलोमीटर पर आ रही है।
साइक्लोन का जो फॉरवर्ड मूव 15 किलोमीटर पर
अभी है, बट आई ऑफ द साइक्लोन व्हेन जब वो हिट करता है कोस्ट पे, देन इन द आफ्टरमैथ सबसे ज्यादा डैमेज होता है, क्योंकि पीछे से जो विंड से वो आती है और फिर हवा टकराते हैं 2 डायरेक्शन।
इसका मतलब नहीं कि आफ्टरमाथ जो आता है इसमें ज्यादा विंड स्पीड होता है। आप एक पकड़ लीजिए, एक बैम्बो है यहाँ फॉर एग्जाम्पल, बैम्बो स्टिक है, आप इसको निकालना चाहते हैं, आप क्या करते हैं, इससे झुकते हैं ऐसे, फिर ऐसे झुकते हैं ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन में, जैसे कि सॉइल के साथ वो जो जुड़े हुए हैं इसे लूज हो जाए और आप निकाल सकते हैं बैम्बो को। यही होता है जो पेड़ है, पेड़ अभी जब फॉरवर्ड सेक्टर आ रहे इससे वेस्ट विंड ब्लो हो रहा है, तब पेड़ वेस्ट की तरफ बेंडिंग होगा, मगर शायद गिरेगा नहीं। मगर जब रियर सेक्टर आएगा और विंड डायरेक्शन चेंज हो जाएगा वेस्ट से ईस्ट, सो फिर वो पेड़ ईस्ट की तरफ बेंडिंग होगा। इस तरह जो पेड़ फॉरवर्ड सेक्टर में नहीं घिरा होगा, शायद रेयर सेक्टर जब आएगा तब गिर सकता है। ऐसे ही हालत हो सकता है टेलीफोन पोल्स, इलेक्ट्रिक पोल्स,
इसलिए जब आई ऑफ द स्टॉर्म जब
इसीलिए जो एरिया में आई जाएगा उस एरिया में ज्यादा डैमेज हो सकता है। यानी जो 50 किलोमीटर से 100 किलोमीटर जो डिस्टेंस है, जैसे जखाऊ के पास जाएगा तो जखाऊ से 50-100 किलोमीटर दूर तक दोनों साइड पे ऐसे डिजास्टर सिचुएशन देखने को मिल सकता है।
एवरेज 115 to 125
दैट इज द मैक्सिमम विंड स्पीड व्हाट वी प्रेडिक्टेड। वो है 115 to 125 kmph, गस्टिंग टू 140 kmph। गस्टिनेस सभी जगह में नहीं होगा, कहीं कहीं 140 kmph गस्टिनेस में मैक्सिमम विंड हो सकता है। वो टेम्पररी विंड होता है, इट इज नॉट सस्टेन विंड
होता है। हाईएस्ट विंड साइक्लोन के 4 घंटे लैंडफॉल चल रहा है, तो विंड स्पीड जो आप बोल रहे हैं 115 to 125, गस्टिंग टू 140, नॉर्मली किस समय में होता है वो 4 घंटे के लैंडफॉल प्रोसेस के दौरान?
देखिए, जब फॉरवर्ड सेक्टर में चल रहा है तब तो विंड ज्यादा होगा, तब लैंड इंटरेक्शन भी शुरू हो जाएगा, सो धीरे धीरे वीकनिंग भी शुरू होगा। सो पहला पीरियड में ज्यादा विंड स्पीड रहेगा।
क्योंकि सब लोग डरे हुए हैं, घरों के अंदर कैद हैं।
All right, so that's the update coming in from the IMD. You heard the press conference there that the IMD has held. They have given some details about the landfall that Biparjoy has begun to make. That landfall process has begun. And of course, there have been very, very proper arrangements made for the heavy rainfall that is expected in many, many parts. A lot of evacuations have taken place and preparations done to ensure that there is minimal damage, at least to life and limb, and even to property as much as possible. The diameter of the eye of the cyclone is about 50 kilometers, is what the IMD is saying. And of course, they've released a lot of other details of what can be expected as far as the wind speeds are concerned. and more. So this is a severe cyclonic storm. 70 kilometers from Jakhau, wind speed is 60 to 80 kilometers, and it is reaching the Kutch region. The landfall process has started. We'll go across to our colleagues also joining us from various areas in Gujarat and more. The IMD has just now announced that by midnight the cyclone will be over land. So it's going to be a process that's going to take a few hours as we speak. And then, of course, we'll have to assess what is the kind of damage that the cyclone Biparjoy is able to make. So we've just heard from the IMD just a short while ago. As I said, the landfall process has begun in Saurashtra. It is approaching the Kutch region. But by the time it is midnight, that's when it is going to be over land properly. The wind speeds are expected to be in the 120 kilometers per hour region. And the IMD chief has also said that there is a dangerous period as far as all are concerned till midnight. That's when the worst could be expected. Post that, of course, once it crosses over land, it is expected to lose steam. Very heavy rainfall is expected in few parts. We're just hoping that all the preparations that have been made are going to be sufficient, despite the predictions that have been made for the cyclone. And there is going to be minimal damage to at least life and limb and even property as much as possible. But some of those visuals that you're seeing, of course, they give you a sense of what is possible as this severe cyclone hits the western coastline of India. We'll try and go across to more of our colleagues who are tracking the latest that is coming in. But the IMD has announced that by midnight, the cyclone will be over land, and actually the period up till midnight tonight is the most dangerous period. My colleague Vinaya is also joining us. Vinaya has been keeping a track of the landfall that is approaching from Dwarka. Other colleagues are also joining us from in and around Dwarka and other states. But Vinaya, coming to you, just give us a sense of what the conditions are like now as the landfall has begun and is, of course, the cyclone is quickly approaching Kutch and Saurashtra.
Well, we are in Dwarka, and let me get you some dramatic visuals of what havoc the cyclone is wreaking here. This is the entry of a big hotel here in Dwarka, and as you can see, there is total destruction happening right in front of you. This was a canopy that was tied over the glass entrance of this hotel, and as you can see, just a few seconds before this broadcast started, a few metal poles have come clinging down, and we are seeing that the several bamboos that were tied around have completely loosened up, and this gate is about to fly any minute. Now look at the violent speed of the winds, because of which we are seeing that the entire entry to this hotel has completely been blocked because of the canopy that was constructed, that has been completely brought down by the violent winds that are only surging. So the gate has just flown past us. Unfortunately, a bull came in the way of the way in which the gate came down right now. We are seeing that the wind speeds have only been surging for the last few hours. It has grown particularly worse in the last 1 hour or so, where we are seeing that wind speeds have crossed over 70 kilometers per hour, and right now the sea has also turned violent. The swelling in the sea is quite high. In fact, we can see huge waves from the sea. White is the color of the sea right now, as huge waves have been rushing towards the coastline, but the visibility is low. I am not very sure if I will be able to show you the visuals of the violent sea, but as of now the situation here where we are standing is only worsening. Sea water is entering our eyes even as we are lashed by the incessant rainfall that continues, it is likely that, you know, the bamboos that are constructed here will further come down. Now, if I request my video journalist to show to you the live visuals of this whole canopy collapsing because of the violent winds. We saw the first lot, the way it came around, and we just had to duck and run away from the site in order to protect ourselves. Right now you can see that the second lot is also out. The bamboos are trying to pull into the glass, even as the staff is trying to see that there isn't further damage to the glass structure there. So as of now, the violent winds, this is just an example of how terrible the situation is. These dramatic visuals show you the kind of ravages that are likely in other places around the coast of Gujarat as well, even as the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy has already begun. Right now, the staff of the hotel are trying to make sure that this entire bamboo canopy is at least kept in a way that it won't fly out, but that is not possible. We are right now seeing the wind speeds are only surging, though the rain has abated a bit.
Right.
But it is not possible in this wind speed to stand straight. Hey! So, these are the visuals from Devbhoomi Dwarka, where the landfall has led to an increase in the wind speed, though rains have abated. The skies are overcast, and there is a continuous effort by the people here to try and make sure that there isn't any further damage to the property. Several places where trees have fallen, sheds of hutments have flown away, also poles have come down, and that is where the administration will have to gear up in order to make sure that normalcy is restored. As of now, the IMD tells us that this kind of wind speed is likely to continue for a few hours till midnight, and it's likely that this kind of violent climatic situation will continue well past a few hours by now. But as of now, we are bearing the full brunt of Cyclone Biparjoy here at Dwarka, even as the landfall has begun, and as we can see that the violent winds are bringing down several structures. It has been, one can imagine the position of the situation of the several hutments in the low-lying areas. Even as people are trying to move about, trying to reduce the damage, it is becoming increasingly difficult for normal movement. You can see that the road is completely stranded, that the road is completely empty, and that there are very few people who are moving about. Yes, Cyclone Biparjoy has started its landfall, and the impact can be felt throughout the coastal belt. Saurashtra-Kutch continues to be on red alert. We here at Devbhoomi Dwarka are particularly one of the worst hit places. Even as the wind speeds continue to increase.
समय इतना नजदीक आ रहा है तो मैं
sorry. Thank you.
Vinaya, the wind speeds seem to be increasing, and it is becoming... Vinaya, I'm not sure if you can hear me. The conditions there look very severe. The wind speeds seem to be increasing, and it looks like all of you media personnel, including yourself, and I see some around you, need to maybe get to some sort of a safer situation. Is there some arrangement around you? What do you see? How many people are there, and what are the kind of arrangements for you? Because it looks like the wind conditions are becoming much, much worse now.
Well, there are only a few of us in terms of the media teams which are going on with the continuous coverage of Cyclone Biparjoy, and that is where we see we are trying to support each other in order to make sure that viewers of various channels continuously get to see the live images of the kind of catastrophe that is happening due to Cyclone Biparjoy. As you can see, the condition is only growing precarious. By each passing minute, it is difficult to maintain balance. Right now, I had to be helped by two other media personnel in order to get back to my own feet because the wind was continuously pushing, and not just that, the earpiece too wouldn't stay in its place, it just flew away. So yes, this is a bit of a challenging situation here, and you know, to experience the wrath of nature in this particular manner at a time when the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy has already begun is quite an experience.
ये जो बोट था जहाँ पर डेंजर लगा हुआ है वो टूट के विकास आप इस तरफ आ जाइए क्योंकि पत्थर बहुत तेजी से लगा है। यहाँ पर जो छोटे छोटे पत्थर हैं वो लग रहे हैं, लेकिन ये खतरनाक है। पूरा इलाका इस वक्त वीरान नजर आ रहा है, सुनसान है, यहाँ पर किसी की भी मौजूदगी नहीं है। ये पेड़ आप देख लीजिए, नारियल के पेड़ भी यहाँ पर बहुत सारे हैं, और वो लहरें जो मंदिर का प्रांगण है वहां तक पहुंची है, क्योंकि भगवान श्री कृष्ण की ये नगरी है और यहाँ पर मंदिर ही मंदिर है। द्वारकाधीश मंदिर में 2 झंडे लगाए गए थे। हालांकि अब जो ये दूसरा मंदिर है, ये मंदिर का प्रांगण है, उस तरफ सूर्य मंदिर है, वो देखिए वो लहरें। ये दूर से हम आपको तस्वीर दिखा देते हैं न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया पर। जैसा कि मौसम विभाग की तरफ से कहा जा रहा था, ये लहरें अब क्योंकि लैंडफॉल हो चुका है और जैसा कि लैंडफॉल में होता है और जो मौसम विभाग ने अनुमान जताया था वैसा ही होता हुआ इस वक्त नजर आ रहा है। बहुत मुश्किल है हमारे लिए यहाँ से बोल पाना भी, क्योंकि अब बोलने में भी दिक्कत हो रही है। आप तक तस्वीरें पहुँचाना वाकई बेहद मुश्किल है। ये एक तरफ समुद्र है जिसकी लहरें हैं जो सब कुछ चीर देने को आमादा है, और जो पानी भरेगा उसके बाद जो रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन शुरू होगा वो तो अलग होगा। लेकिन गुजरात में क्योंकि 8 जिले सबसे ज्यादा प्रभावित होंगे, जिसमें एक जिला द्वारका जहां पर मैं मौजूद हूं, बाकी मेरे सहयोगी इस वक्त मौजूद है कच्छ में, वो भी वहां पर भी रेड अलर्ट है और खड़े होने में भी दिक्कत हो रही है। इसलिए मैं बैठ करके आप तक तस्वीरें यहाँ से पहुँचाती हूँ। विकास, आप तस्वीरें दिखाते रहिए क्योंकि हवा का रुख काफी ज्यादा है। जैसे ही हवा थोड़ी कम होती है तब हम भी राहत की सांस लेते हैं, लेकिन अभी थोड़ी सी यहाँ पर लेवल डाउन होता हुआ नजर आ रहा है। यानी कि जब रफ्तार जो है 80 से 100 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की है, अगर वो थोड़ी सी भी डाउन हो रही है तो फिर कम से कम हम खड़े होकर के अपने आप को बैलेंस करके आप तक हम तस्वीरें पहुंचा रहे हैं। ये आप देखिए कि ऐसा तूफान, क्योंकि हमने कई लोगों से बात की है, वो कह रहे हैं अपने जीवन में उन्होंने ऐसा तूफान अनुभव नहीं किया है।
The conditions are definitely getting much worse, and as the IMD has said a short while ago, when the landfall process began, the period till midnight is going to be the most precarious and dangerous one. Vinaya, very quickly coming back to you as well, just give us an overall sense of the kind of damage that the authorities anticipate, especially in the first few hours of the landfall. What is it that they have prepared for?
Well, there are several aspects to this. The way they have prepared is firstly the medical emergency or the medical exigency, because remember, when such a cyclone comes, there are unprecedented and unforeseen circumstances. So if there is any accident, if there is any roof fall, if there are any structures that collapse, in that condition, the hospitals have to be equipped, especially at a time when there is likely to be electricity outage as well. In Dwarka, where we are experiencing the impact of the landfall, there already is an electricity outage, and that is why you know, things have to operate on generators wherever possible. So firstly, it is the medical emergency situations that have to be put in place. That is where the administration says that it has been able to make sure that you know, the hospitals are well equipped with respect to the several facilities that have been provided. Most importantly, what the administration says is that it has tried to make sure that blood supply is adequately provided in several hospitals across the coastal areas, and that in case of any emergency there should not be any shortage of blood. The doctors have been asked to be on the standby. Several pregnant women have been moved to the hospital in advance, at a time when their expected due date is around a week from here, in order to make sure that there is no loss of life in that circumstance as well. With respect to infrastructure, there is expected to be a lot of loss and damage to properties. Several electricity poles are expected to come down. Several structures may also have to bear the impact of the growing cyclone, and in that condition we are seeing that apart from the NDRF teams, several state administration machineries are also on the standby with several equipments. So land moving machines have been kept in place, electric cutters have been put in place, and we are seeing that it has been made sure that several such measures are being taken so that even after the structures come down, there is immediate measures that are put in place to make sure that the structures are immediately taken out of the way so that they do not hamper any further movement. With respect to transport, we are seeing that state transport buses, their services stand suspended till tomorrow, and that is why people have been asked to stay away from the streets. Section 144 has been imposed so that people do not end up coming on the streets, thereby damaging their own, putting their own lives at risk. But most importantly, I'm sorry, this is just a bit tiring, as we are also bearing the brunt of the incessant winds and then speaking. But when it comes to damage to properties as well, we are seeing that even when
भी तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं, जावेद भी तस्वीरें दिखा रहे हैं। वाकई बेहद भयानक ये मंजर है। विकास, आप इस तरफ दिखाइए तस्वीरें, क्योंकि ये बेहद अहम हो जाती है। काले बादल हैं यहाँ पर, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से भीषण बारिश पहले हुई थी, अभी भी बारिश हो सकती है। ये काले बादल इसी ओर इशारा कर रहे हैं कि बारिश होगी और बारिश होती रहेगी। बारिश रात भर होगी। लैंडफॉल तो हो चुका है, वो घड़ी जिसका इंतजार था वो लैंडफॉल हो चुका है। जकाऊ पर पहुंचने में 2 से 3 घंटे का समय और हवा की रफ्तार 115 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटा। 115 किलोमीटर अभी हवा की जो रफ्तार है वो 80 से 100 किलोमीटर प्रति घंटे की है।
Updates from Dwarka. This is where the first impact is also going to be felt. As IMD has already announced, the landfall has started, but this is going to be a process over a couple of over a few hours, in fact. Until midnight, the conditions are going to be extremely rough. I do request my colleague to please move to safer area as well, because the conditions are only getting worse from here. This is Jaspreet from our News 18 network reporting in Dwarka in Gujarat. My colleague Vinaya is also in Dwarka, and Vinaya, looks like it is time, of course, to seek some shelter and get to some safer ground.
I'm sorry, if I may request you to repeat the question. I am unable to hear you.
Yes, Vinaya, the conditions, as I was just trying to say, are obviously getting worse. Looks like it's time to, take some protection, get under some protection, take some shelter, because things will only get worse from here.
Well, yes, things have already gotten quite worse. You can continuously see that the wind speed has been increasing. It has become difficult to see things that are just 50 to 80 meters away, as well as if I may show our viewers, our video journalist Rajesh Sapre, who has been continuously showing all the live visuals. Look at the sea, the violent sea here, how the waves look so scary. We've been seeing that these waves have been continuously lashing at the waves have been continuously lashing at the coast of Dwarka. We are seeing that the sea levels have risen considerably, and though we are seeing that the landfall has in some sense begun, the violent nature of the sea has not really subsided. There is, the skies are overcast, extremely grey clouds, dark clouds that are moving very fast now. We will try and get you more visuals. Let me show you. This can be a classic example of what it's a telling example of what the cyclone looks like. This is the Dwarka beach, a very famous tourist destination where devotees throng this place every day. At this time, on other days, this place sees a heavy footfall, and hundreds of people are seen here otherwise. But right now, as you can see, this entire area wears a deserted look. Even as Section 144 has been imposed, there was a time in the day where we could see the Dwarkadish temple top from here, but right now the visibility is affected and we can barely see anything with respect to the temple from here. Rajesh Sape is trying to bring you all the visuals from here at Dwarka coast, where the sea levels have risen and the sea looks extremely scary right now. But as of now, even as we try to make sure that we continue to do coverage of the horrible impact of the landfall of Cyclone Biparjoy, which is now a very severe cyclonic storm, we will also show to you what kind of impact does this cyclone have after the landfall. So the next few hours are going to be extremely crucial, especially after the landfall. We expect that the situation will continue to remain bad till midnight at least, where heavy winds will continue to flow, and coupled with rainfall as well. It will be only by tomorrow morning that we will be able to gauge the nature of damage that Cyclone Biparjoy.
Vinaya, the skies are also turning dark now. The rain, the wind speed is all going to increase. I thank you very much for joining us for this live coverage, as you are doing very bravely. And I request you to please seek some shelter and get to some protected ground. We'll of course keep connecting to you as the cyclone makes landfall on the western coast of India. Moving on to what we were scheduled to discuss today, from supporting the construction of Ram Temple in Ayodhya to the scrapping of Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir. The BJP-led government led by Narendra Modi has delivered on 2 of its 3 long-term promises. The third has always been Uniform Civil Code. Is the implementation of a UCC next on agenda? There is fresh buzz as Law Commission has issued a public notice seeking fresh views and opinions on the UCC. The move has triggered a political storm. The Congress has launched an attack on the central government, accusing it of polarization. Now, the merits and need of a UCC have been debated for long. But can Uniform Civil Code be implemented in India, and is this the right time? UCC requires navigating sensitive religious and cultural issues, as different communities may strongly oppose any perceived infringement upon their personal laws. And any attempt to introduce a UCC is also likely to face political opposition. Political parties and religious groups may exploit the issue to mobilize support or protect a vote bank, making it challenging to build consensus and pass unnecessary legislation. And is the central government even serious about implementing it, or is it just bringing this topic back to the front burner ahead of 2024 elections? We'll take those questions to our guest in just a bit, but here is what Law Commission has asked for. It has invited views and ideas from the public now on the UCC, seeking opinions, especially from recognized religious organizations. Stakeholders have been asked to send views within 30 days. Submissions can be made in form of discussions or papers. But remember, this is the second such initiative taken by the Law Commission the last 7 years alone, but the previous one did not really lead anywhere. Here is where most religious and social bodies stand on the Uniform Civil Code. So the All India Muslim Personal Law Board has called UCC against the spirit of the Constitution. That may be an exaggeration of sorts because it is actually in the Constitution as a directive principle. Jamaat Ulama-e-Hind has passed a resolution against UCC saying that it is an injustice to Muslims. Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee has called UCC centre's bid to make India a Hindu Rashtra. On UCC, RSS has said that people of one nation should live under a common law. Let's also take a look at the history of this issue in Supreme Court, and it's an interesting one. In 1985, during the Shah Bano case, the Supreme Court had remarked that it is a matter of regret that Article 44 has remained a dead letter. Again, in Sarla Mudgal case in 1995, the Supreme Court urged then Prime Minister to endeavour to secure a UCC for the country. More recently, in 2023, the Supreme Court has said that there is no bar on states setting up a panel for the UCC, since many BJP-ruled states were doing so. And also this year, the Supreme Court said that the courts should not be seen as directing legislature to enact a law, particularly when petitions were up for hearing in this matter. What has been the government's stand, and particularly the government led by the BJP at the centre? So last year, the union government had batted for UCC in an affidavit in the Supreme Court saying that personal laws based on religion are an affront to the nation's unity. It said that UCC will bring about integration of the country and its various sections, terming UCC a common platform through an unvarying legal regime. Let me also quickly break down the case for and against the Uniform Civil Code. So people supporting the Common Civil Code say it enhances, first of all, the status of women and the marginalized. But people objecting to it say it is difficult to implement due to diverse personal laws. People backing it say many personal laws violate human rights. Many objecting to the UCC say that implementation would create fear among minorities of loss of religious identity. People backing UCC say that Article 25 and 26 guarantee freedom of religion. So therefore, there is no need to be worried on that front, and UCC is actually not opposed to secularism. People objecting to it say that rights bestowed by religion cannot be questioned by a court of law. Finally, people backing UCC also say that liberal, gender-sensitive civil code is the need of the hour for a new India, while those opposed to UCC say that no one should interfere with religion in the name of social reform. So on that note, let's go across to our guest joining us. Joining us, Tom Varakan, spokesperson of the BJP, Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar, Justice Adityanath Mittal is former Chief UP Law Commission, Desh Ratan Nigam is lawyer and political analyst, Zeenat Shaukat Ali is also an activist and Islamic scholar. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, why don't I begin with you? We've discussed the merits that I said, and we know the positions of all sides, whether they agree, don't agree, give a conditional support, or are completely opposed to a UCC. I want to understand from you, as an Islamic activist and scholar, do you believe that the time is right in India for UCC now?
You see, the Uniform Civil Code has been besieged with problems for many decades, and it has created a lot of polemics and controversy. But what we need to understand, in answer to your question, is what exactly is the aim of the Uniform Civil Code. So, and whether, as you're saying, the time is right. The time can be always right, and the time can never be right.
True.
So, that is, I would not like to discuss that part of the question. But I do think that, that the very term has been severely contested over the years, as in the realm of identity issue and electoral politics, as well as with a range of interests among feminist groups who want the Uniform Civil Code. Now, one has to understand that in an increasingly communalized national context, this subject becomes extremely complicated, whereas in actuality it is not. Because the quest for the Uniform Civil Code is what? Currently, within the existing legal framework, there exists no uniform family-related law in a single statutory book for all Indians that is acceptable to all religious communities in India, and that is where the Uniform Civil Code is heading. And like, the constitutional expression, we the people of India in its dynamic unity integrally includes a national plurality of people of India cutting across race, ethnicity, religion, caste, etc. So all its citizens need to do is to seek a favorable solution that desiderates harmony an accommodative religious pluralism seeking a balance between the right to religion and the right to justice.
Yes,
so
you're very right about that, Shaukat Ali, but that's precisely the heart of this debate, whether that consensus can happen when there are so many vested interest groups. Who's going to build that consensus? Is that even possible in a country of 140 million people? And secondly, everyone will have to give a little bit. But the fight is going to be exactly that. Justice Aditya, I want to come to you. Legally speaking, is this even possible in a country like India?
Of course.
All right, it looks like there's a slight issue with Justice connection, but Atikur Rahman, why don't you take this question? Can the consensus be built? When is going to be the right time? And everybody will have to give a little bit. Can we all come on the table and do so? We all know what this is for.
Shivani, this is not the first time we are discussing this issue.
Yes.
In fact, the issue has been on the BJP manifesto since 1986.
Yes.
A very, very good government of Mr. Vajpayee never touched it. Government of Mr. Modi, since they are about to complete 10 years. They are just making a red herring out of it. The procrastination on the part of the BJP is beyond, comprehension of the people. The Supreme Court has pinpointed that the scriptures, the ulama, the leaders of the religious denominations, they are usurping the rights of the women. Despite this fact, why not the government of India place it as a draft resolution on the floor of the legislatures?
No, but then they've just done the exercise for that, right? Atikur Rahman, let's be fair. Atikur, let's be fair. They've invited these public opinion precisely for that exercise, right? What would ideally follow from here is a draft resolution and possibly a legislation. So we'll get to that. But I'm just trying to understand from you, do you feel the Muslim community has walked the distance that it needed to walk to accept a UCC in India?
I think on this particular issue, Shivani, the government, if they are pinpointing to the Muslims, they are hiding behind them. Because leave aside the Muslims are not the first citizens of the state. The Muslims will have to adhere to the rights of the women because that is enshrined in the Quran. And Ms. Shaukat Ali will be vouchsafing this fact. None of the gender justice and gender equality laws, if they are preempted by the government of the day,